I hate long intros, so this is basically a video about the art movements throughout European history. Okay, now we're moving on. Let's begin with the Italian Renaissance. Originating in Italy during the 15th century, the Italian Renaissance marked a return to classical Greek and Roman culture and knowledge. Most importantly, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Michelangelo, Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci, and Donatello, graced the world with La Primavera, baby-looking babies, naked people, naked people, naked people, and more naked people. Moving upwards, the Northern Renaissance took place in, Northern Europe, when a bunch of artists looked at Italy and thought, I wonder if we could take the elements of the Renaissance and leave out the nudity. Pieter Bruegel the Elder, Jan van Eyck, and Albrecht Dürer all made splendid paintings that focused on realistic portrayals of life, such as seen in the Arnolfini portrait where you can just tell they're happy with their marriage, Dürer's self-portrait where he not so humbly depicts himself like Jesus, Henry VIII's portrait where no attempt is made to hide his ugliness, and in the various paintings of everyday life. Both the Italian and Northern Renaissance used new approaches like realistic perspective, a rise in secular subjects, and three-dimensionality. Also, they both were funded by wealthy elites like the Italian Medicis and English monarchs. However, in Italy, there were more subjects from antiquity as well as beautified figures, while the Northerners painted everyday people in staunch realism. These Renaissances also saw the end of the Middle Ages and the beginning of artists as celebrities. Before we move on to the Baroque, I would be remiss not to mention Mannerism. Emerging from the belief that the artist's injection of style took precedence over realism, Mannerists like El Greco, Bronzino, Parmigianino, and Michelangelo were known for their artificiality through vivid and bizarre colors, illogical comprehensions of space, exaggerated body proportions, and odd poses. This is important according to Britannica because Mannerism's spiritual intensity, its complex and intellectual aestheticism, its experimentation in form, and the persistent psychological anxiety manifested in it made the style attractive and interesting to the modern temperament, which saw affinities between it and modern expressionist tendencies in art. Plus, it gave us vegetable portraits. Moving on is the Baroque period. Beginning with Caravaggio, who was a bit of a madman, the Baroque movement was closely tied to the Counter-Reformation. How they're essentially the same, and sought to evoke a strong emotional response, bring up religious fervor, and show the greatness of the Catholic Church by using insane detail and complexity, grandiose creations, tenebrism, and more drama than Downton Abbey. In your eyes so true, let me call you sweetheart, I'm in love with... This is seen in Caravaggio, Bernini, Bach, and girl boss Sganceleschi's works, such as The Calling of St. Matthew, The Ecstasy of St. Teresa, A More Energetic Naked Man, St. Peter's Basilica, and Judith slaying Holofernes. Mostly funded by the church and royalty, Baroque art was meant to elevate the status and feeling of the patron. To the north, the Northern or Dutch Baroque movement was more focused on their middle-class patrons and everyday life due to the prominence of Protestantism. This is seen in the works of Rembrandt and Vermeer, like The Girl with a Pearl Earring, The Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Nicholas Tulp, Night Watch, and The Milkmaid. As previously mentioned, the Northern Baroque patrons weren't some hoity-toity nobles, but rather the members of the new middle class, like merchants who profited from colonization, and this, plus the lack of a dominant church, resulted in more mellow paintings, which is the easiest way to differentiate between the styles. Carrying on, Rococo was the art of the aristocracy, Often depicting frolicking, carefree rich people, Rococo art was a backlash against the Baroque through its fuzzy details, gaiety, airiness, and pastel colors. Essentially, the Rococo artists depicted a bunch of lovey-dovey couples to distract their royal patrons from their own arranged, unloving marriages. Some Rococo art pieces include Fragonard's The Swing, Fragonard's The Progress of Love, and Fragonard's The Bolt. This movement ended after the French Revolution since all the patrons either died or fled. Thus, with Napoleon's ascent to power, Neoclassicism became the prominent art form in France. Pretty much exclusively made by Napoleon's painter Jacques-Louis David and seen in US federal buildings, Neoclassical works sought to return to the purity of the Greek and Roman ideal. In short, they were old-looking paintings that used grid-like compositions, insanely realistic depictions, statue-like figures, solid colors, and had a serious mood. This can be seen in Napoleon Crossing the Alps, Death of Marat, Oath of the Horatii, Death of Socrates, Tennis Court Oath, and the Coronation of Napoleon. Also, William Hogarth was doing his own thing, making socially critical series of paintings like The Marriage Settlement, which depicted the unpassionate marriages of the upper classes. After people got tired of all those paintings of Napoleon, the Romantic era began. Inspired by a desire to create intensely emotional works, the capital R Romantics rejected the Industrial Revolution, modern science, and Enlightenment rationalization by creating works focused on nature and revived medievalism. Romantic art typically depicted landscapes, lone heroes, dramatic scenes, the triumph of nature over man, and more narrative pieces. Additionally, Romantic composers like Chopin, Liszt, and Wagner, and Romantic authors like Mary Shelley and William Wordsworth made more emotional works, such as in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries. Another movement in response to the Industrial Revolution was the Realist movement, which portrayed reality in all its gritty detail. Using drab colors and somber narratives, authors and artists criticized the new hardships of the industrialized world. This is well encapsulated in Dickens' works like Great Expectations, where the main character states to 5 little stone lozenges, each about 1.5 feet long, which were arranged in a neat row beside their grave and were sacred to the memory of 5 little brothers of mine.
And with that lengthy excerpt, we are finally done on this journey through much of European art. As evident by the artistic works in this video, art throughout history has reflected almost all aspects of society, and these aspects continue to be echoed in society today.
That I'm getting emotional. Let me try to express all the things that you want me to. Yeah. 1, I feel nothing. 2, I got something. 3, I need you. You're the only one that never fools around here. So you won't ever break. Every time that you with me, I wanna let you go, but I can't, cause I don't really know how to let you know. Yeah. 1, I feel nothing. 2, I got something. 3, I need you. You're the only one that never fools around here. So